Hey guys, January 1st, 2024. Unbelievable, isn't it? Time just flashes by. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hope you all are safe, happy, and healthy. So you know what they say, hindsight is 2020. Well, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I'm into the Dyna-Glow smokers and grilling and barbecuing and things like that. And it occurred to me that I've been using tongs, not a huge fan of, and I really would have liked to have a short fork for flipping meat, chicken, ribs, steak, not really so much burgers because they kind of fall apart. So I decided today, because I'm off, that I was going to get a little bit more involved with the forge and make a fork for myself. So what I wound up making was this. I gotta tell you, I didn't measure the finished length, but it's about 10 and 5/16. I don't like the forks that are ridiculously long, because it's just, you gotta kind of jack your elbow in to get close to it, and more risk of things going awry. So this is what I wanted, something shorter. So I decided to make one today. And I made this out of 1/4-inch round stock. Believe it or not, I got it at Tractor Supply. I wasn't super crazy about making it perfect because it's for me. If it was for a gift or for sale, I'd have been a little more meticulous, but that's not what this was about today. And I really should have made the video from the beginning to the end. So basically what I did is I took a 20-inch piece of this 1/4-inch round stock, measured the center, and the soapstone marker works crazy good. You can heat this up cherry red and still see it very well. And I think that's much easier and much less intrusive than using a punch and punching a hole or a divot so that you know where your center line is. So what I did is I started with, like I said, that 20-inch piece. I marked the center. I put it in the forge. I got it hot enough, and then I bent it to 90 degrees. And I don't think that was completely necessary, but I was trying to get the metal closer together, because the biggest part of this is making sure that your ends are the same length. Yeah, you can grind and sand and all that stuff, but that's just a lot of added work. So I heated this up very hot when it looked like this, and I used my hammer, obviously, my awesome hammer, and I drew this out one at a time. I drew the first one out to where I thought that I wanted it to be, what I wanted it to look like, and then I matched the second one to the first one. Once that was done, I let it cool, and I marked the same distance from point to here, and I don't remember what it was, but I'll measure it. So it was about 2 inches. So I marked on each end 2 inches, and reheated this to a cherry red. Then I used a pair of channel locks and bent these out. And there's no real science to this. You know, this could have been much wider, much closer, but I bent it out to where I wanted the width to be, and you can do the same thing. So by the time I got that to where I wanted it, it had cooled down. Put it back in the fire, and then I bent this other angle. So you basically got this angle here for your first bend, your second angle here for the fork width. So I got that squared away, made sure it was right. Back in the fire it went at the line that I drew for the center line, and then I bent it 90 degrees. I wanted a hook here, not a hook, but a hole so that I could hang it on a hook. So what I did is I have this drift from a long time ago when I was still doing auto repairs, and I used to use this for drawing. I got forging on my mind for driving out bearing races in rear wheel drive cars, and you could get the correct angle and hit the race on the edge and drive the race out. So anyway, I still have this. It's a snap-on. It's a really good quality. So the hole on the anvil, what I did is I got this cherry red, put it over the hole, put this in there, and then I took my channel locks once again and squeezed this together. And it actually worked out really well, and it came out with this circular kind of shape. So once that was done, everything was pulled together, and I've done this in the past. I went to blacksmith school to be a farrier, and we learned how to make a bunch of tools and horseshoes from this stock. So, you know, it's 11 inches is the average size horseshoe. You cut it in the middle, you round it off, you get the shape close. Not all horses' feet are the same. And then you upset your ends, and once your shape is correct, you put your fuller in here, and then you punch your nail holes. So, long story short, I've got some training, some experience. We used to make, what do you call it, a corrective shoe with a hoof that was split. And you would take copper, half-inch copper pipe, and you would cut a piece off, you would split that piece, and you would use that to hold the hoof together. So my intent was to kind of make this a little bit ornate, was to cut off a piece of this copper, split it, put it over here, bring it back together, use a chisel to get it into the grooves, and then solder it to itself and to the steel. Well, I guess this Tractor Supply steel isn't the greatest, because I could not get the solder to stick no matter how hot I got the steel. It was clean, it was fluxed, it just didn't work. But I thought that a copper ring down here would really, really look cool. Just wasn't in my cards. So what I wound up doing is I put a short beetle weld here to keep this together. And obviously I clamped this with 2 pieces of wood and a pair of vice grips. They're right here, as a matter of fact. And you can see the burn marks. So I did this, clamped it together, and then I put my bit of weld right in here. So once that was done, it was just a matter of finalizing the shape here. I sanded everything down by hand, and then I threw it back in the forge. And it's kind of like cast iron frying pans or Dutch ovens. You get it to a certain temperature, you coat it with oil, you let the oil bake on, and then you've got a nice protective surface. So I did that. I heated this up quite a bit before cherry red, and I have a small container of oil, food edible oil, and honestly I use vegetable oil, which isn't my favorite. I really like olive oil. I guess canola oil is supposed to be the better choice, but the vegetable oil worked well. And yeah, this is what I came out with. So I can't wait to use this on my next barbecue. And what's cool is when you use this, as you use it, fat from the food that you're cooking is going to get impregnated back into the metal, and it's going to make it even better. So as long as you don't use it as a lawn dart, this is going to last forever. And I did bring the points down. They're pretty sharp. It actually could be a pretty ridiculous weapon. But yeah, just thought I'd share. It's been a long time since I've actively worked in the fire. I was working on a fillet knife from some bandsaw blades, and I've got that welded and I've got the basic shape forged out, but I never got back to that video. And for anyone that was watching that, I apologize. I've just got so much going on in my world. I have a website where I make things out of wood and sell them. I have an Etsy shop, and I'm a glutton for punishment. But I just started a new website, outlawgrilling.com, and my intent with that site is to share recipes and sell barbecue boxes, things like this, spices. I need to retire soon, so I need to keep busy, because if I sit idle, I'm gonna die. I just know it. But yeah, anyway, I'm sorry guys, I should have brought you along for the entire ride, but this is going to suit my purposes extremely well. And the Cliff Carroll anvil has been incredibly flawless. I'm not going to mention the other one that I had bunch of videos ago, where every time I use the horn, I dent the horn. Well, I've used this horn extensively, and not recently, but when I first got it. And this anvil, for the price, and I think it's 125 pound anvil. It's got the turning cams, it's got the clipping horn. I'm going to tell you true, I'm extremely happy with this anvil. So guys, again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope everything's going your way, and we'll talk soon. Take care now.